Good morning. Okay, I'm actually too lazy to write it down. So I'm going to send you a video so that you can save it. So when I talk about weight loss for any of my clients, right, I write this like continuum of eating behaviors, right? So like the gold standard, whatever, is intuitive eating. And then we have disordered eating. And then we have an eating disorder. So I write out this continuum. And then I ask them, like, how bad has your eating gotten, right? In the depths of your struggles with food, how bad has it gotten? And what would you count that as? Like, what would you call that disordered eating disorder? Like, what does that look like? And then we write down all those behaviors. And then I have them like define, like, okay, how do you want your relationship with food to look like? In an ideal world, like, what does it look like outside of weight loss? Like, what do you envision your life to look like around food? Like, how do you want to feel around food? How do you want your behaviors to look? Like, types of foods, right? Really good understanding. And then whether that falls into, and then I ask them, like, do you think that's intuitive eating? Do you think it's disordered eating? Like, where do you think that's on the spectrum? And then I say, okay, you've been here, like, have you achieved weight loss at any of these places? So we kind of really explore that. And then I say, like, okay, so you want to pursue weight loss. Like, what behaviors are you willing to do? Like, what are you willing to do for that? And like, how are you defining that on your spectrum? So maybe they're like, well, I want to cut out sugar, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. I'm like, okay, is that disordered? Is that like kind of in this disordered eating? Is that in between intuitive eating and disordered eating, right? It's because it's not that black and white. So I kind of place all those behaviors. And then so we kind of talk about all those behaviors. Where do they fall in that continuum? And this is with and it all has to depend on, oh my gosh, what am I trying to say? This is all the client's perspective and how are they defining these things. And so then we go through all the behaviors of what they want to do in order to try to achieve weight loss. And then based on those behaviors, I kind of really explore, okay, those are kind of in between this intuitive eating, disordered eating. Some are kind of borderline into this disordered eating framework, or just slot. Like, how are you going to like protect yourself from going into an eating disorder, right? So like, what are the barriers around that? So how do we protect you from falling back into a full-blown eating disorder again? And what's your limit? What's the line that you're going to draw around these behaviors? Do you think, right, engaging in disordered eating will make you more vulnerable to getting back into your eating disorder? So I really explore that. And once again, this is all non-judgmental. And I even say, like, at the end of the day, I will support whatever decision you want to make. Like, your pursuit of weight loss, you have autonomy around that. You have choice. I'm just curious, like, I just want to like really get to help you understand like what you're wanting, and provide some protection as your dietitian of like, how do we prevent you from falling back into your eating disorder? And if you want to fall back into your eating disorder, that's a whole other conversation, but hopefully that makes sense. And so then we process, okay, like, here's what you're willing to do. Is it worth it? Like, is it worth it to you? At what point does it not become worth it to you? What if you don't achieve weight loss? How would that make you feel? And so then I kind of just really explore like all that. And then if they need help defining like intuitive eating and eating disorder, disordered eating and the eating disorder, I can help them with that too. So like, we like kind of write out the principles, like, what does it look like to be intuitive eater? Because all my clients like, heck, I don't know what that means. Then disordered eating is anything like before being able to diagnose like an eating disorder, right? So it's like dieting, or like going gluten-free, or becoming a vegan, vegetarian, if it's not coming from like an authentic place. It's, eating, having like kind of like, yeah, going on a diet, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's kind of how I tackle that. Like, there's a lot, that it takes a long time to unpack that. And yeah, once again, all non-judgmental, because I do find the more I approach these types of conversations with curiosity and like continue to tell them of like, you have autonomy, like you can so pursue weight loss, the more their defenses come down. And then most often they're like, shit, I don't want to do those behaviors again. I'm so tired. And I'm like, yeah. So it's a really interesting conversation. So hopefully that's helpful. I just didn't feel like writing it all down. Let me know any questions. And then since I'm here, Well, I'll send you another voice memo around other updates.